Hello, this is Alex from BSC Designer, and in this video we'll talk about building SEO strategy. So SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization, and there are a lot of videos about doing SEO right, like technical SEO, link building strategies. But in this video, I'd like to talk about aligning all those SEO efforts, SEO techniques, with an overall strategy of an organization. So why is it important? Well, good SEO is not about buying links or similar practices. It's about understanding challenges that your potential clients, potential users face. And it's about building useful content around those challenges. Yeah, it's about building content around your product and around your services. And finally, it's also about creating internal systems that will support all those efforts. And in this case, a long list of SEO tricks, this list won't help. We need to build a kind of solid SEO strategy, and we need to find some performance metrics to track its execution. And of course, we need to align the high-level strategic goals with some lower-level initiatives. And that's what we'll talk about in this video. To explain some of the ideas, I will use this SEO strategy map template, and it is based on it's explained in this article, the SEO KPIs that deserve your time, that we have on our website. Yeah, and good thing about this template is that it is absolutely free, so you can sign up with a free plan at BSC Designer Online using this link at bsc.com. And when you have your account, you go to new scorecard, and you pick this template, SEO scorecard template, and you have a copy of this strategy map, a copy of these KPIs, so it's ready to use. Of course, this strategy map, it was inspired by our approach to SEO strategy, the approach that we use internally at BSC Designer. Of course, in your case, you will need to adjust it to your realities, but anyway, I think it will be really useful because it's easier to get started with a SEO strategy when you have something in front of your eyes, rather than building something from scratch. So let me explain you how the things are organized here. So this is a strategy map. I will show it all. Yeah, it's one-page strategy map. And we have on the top, we have mission statement, which in our case sounds like focus SEO effort on what matters, because we had a problem that we had too many ideas, too many techniques that we wanted to try, but we had to limit those ideas, those experiments, to something that actually resonates with our business. Now we have here 4 perspectives, which is classical perspectives from Kaplan and Norton balanced scorecard approach: the finance, customer, internal processes. In this case, we just call it internal perspective. And finally, we have innovation perspective or learning growth perspective. Yeah. For each perspective, we have a question that will help us to formulate the goals for this perspective. Yeah. And inside each of the perspectives, we have some business goals, these rectangles. And below these rectangles, we have these lines, the metrics that we use to track the execution of this strategy. Yeah, so that's a quick overview of what we have here. And now let's talk about specific business goals and why we have them, how they're connected, and these things. So first of all, why we do SEO, why we do search engine optimization? Yeah. Or better, let's use this question. What financial results do we expect from successful execution of SEO strategy? Well, in our case, We do this primarily to get some qualified leads on one hand, and on the other hand, we need to balance the number of qualified leads with the price of getting such leads. So we formulated this goal in this way, getting qualified leads at reasonable price. It's not specifically a financial goals, but it's directly aligned with a financial overall financial goal for this SEO scorecard. Okay, how do we do this? Or using this question, what do our customers, both internal and external, need? So what do we need to provide to our customers to achieve this goal, to get qualified leads at reasonable price? Well, again, it's our point of view, but we need one, create engaging content that people will like, that people will use, read, share, these things. Yeah. This will be more informational content, like the SEO article that we have here. It's an example of informative content. Yeah. And another goal that we have formulated is that we have to create content that solves challenges. For example, here I have the strategy map tab, and if I click on this icon, it will get me to a page of our product tutorial. Yeah, and one thing that is really cool about it is that it will get us exactly to the page that will talk about strategy map. Yeah, so this page of tutorial explains how strategy maps work in BSC Designer Online. Yeah, so in this case, you have some training video here, you have some screenshots, some step-by-step guides. You have many things here, and we consider this kind of content to be a little bit different. So this is a content that solves challenges. It's not just to educate you, it's to solve your challenge. And probably this video that I'm making right now is a kind of problem-solving content as well. So again, internally, we divide these two. In your case, I don't know how you do it, but we have formulated these two goals in customer perspective. So we need to create engaging, informative content, and we also need to have content that solves challenges. In many cases, this overlap. Now, the next question, how can we satisfy the needs of the customers? What are the needs? The needs are these two. Yeah? How do we satisfy the needs of the customers? Well, obviously, we need to rank high for the top converting content. What does it mean? Rank high, I think it's clear. If you Google for, if search in Google for, let's say, KPIs for SEO, and we have this pretty nice strategy map, we have these KPIs, we want to rank high for this. Okay, it's clear. But the second part is more interesting. Rank high for top converting content. Yeah. So we can pick many topics, many keywords, but if people don't formulate their search intent using these keywords, it doesn't make sense to rank high for them. And moreover, if people search a lot using these keywords, it does mean that they will convert into what we need, and we need it here, into qualified leads. We have keywords that people use a lot to search for some interesting content, but they are not converted into the qualified leads. And we have other keywords that in terms of search volume probably are not that interesting, but people who are using these keywords, for some reason, they're really interested in our software, and they're converting better into the qualified leads. And actually, one note about qualified leads. I was talking about this in a different video. So what is a qualified lead in our case? Right now, you will become a qualified lead if you will create some account, a free plan. You will sign up on this free plan, and you will play with at least one scorecard. So if you do this, we consider that you got a very basic experience with the software. You unlocked some key functions, and we will count you as a qualified lead. Yeah, so it's an explanation of how we count qualified leads. Now, I think it's clear, rank high for top converting content. And how do we do this? Yeah, so to achieve the second part, top converting content, we need to understand what content is actually top converting. Yeah, so what we do, we analyze growth opportunities. It's very vague definition of what we do, but a long story short, we have compiled a SEO opportunity index that I will be explaining in details a little bit later. And we're looking at this index to understand what growth opportunities can we address. Yeah, so we don't create content, we don't target all possible keywords that might be relevant for our software. We do some kind of analysis. I will talk about this later. So once we analyze this data, we create new content. That's what the second goal is, create new content. Yeah. So we create content like, for example, this article, which has some nice infographic, has some screenshots, some explanations. It's really interesting if you plan to prepare your SEO strategy. And the second part of this goal, that we maintain existing content. What does it mean? It means that sometimes we're looking at the article that is generating us some traffic, and we read this article and we find out that it's not really good now. Yeah, some ideas are a little bit outdated. The screenshots are not maintained well. For example, the screenshots of the old version of the software. If I check here, the screenshots are exactly the same as we see right now. So the data series, that's what you see here. You have all the same buttons. So the screenshots okay in this article, but sometimes the screenshots are outdated. The ideas are outdated. The general explanation theme is not what we believe in right now. So the outdated content need to be either deleted or modified or merged. So we have options there. So that's how we formulate our internal kitchen. Yeah? So we have this goal, rank high for top converting content, and that's how we do it. Yeah? We analyze growth opportunities and we respond to them. And we also try to maintain our content, try to maintain high quality content and make sure that it is working for us. Finally, it looks like we can stop here on this perspective, but what happens? It happens as any industry changes, and the domain of search engine optimization is changing really fast. Yeah? And we need, in some way, we need to make sure that we tracking the pulse of this industry and we know what is happening out there. Yeah? And to do this, we have formulated these three goals in the innovation perspective. Now, first goal is to track the pulse of industry. So what we do, we read some blogs. I will talk about this later, the initiatives that we have here. We have some sources that generate a lot of insights for us. And once we have it, yeah, we need to test them. We need to understand what of the new methods work for us and what are not applicable in our case. And when we have these results, we do teach this best practice internally. So people who work in our team, we don't have a dedicated SEO specialist. We don't buy links, we don't do this stuff. What we do, we explain our SEO approach to all members of our team, and in this way, everyone is on the same page. Every member of the team knows how to help us to progress in terms of search engine optimization. Obviously, the most important people are those who create content, but we also need to explain some SEO ideas to our developers and they also need to understand them when we, for example, modifying this scorecard. For example, if you open this template is available as a public scorecard, so you can find it in search engines, and you will see that this very template is also available in different languages. It's translated to different languages. And internally, inside our software, we had to implement the specific techniques like making href rank links to different versions of this template. So on one hand, it's a business of a SEO specialist, but if you want to do it seriously, every member of your team need to be informed about how you're doing SEO and why it's matter. And so getting new ideas here, teaching these ideas to your to members of your team, and finally, we need to close this feedback loop by looking at what we have so far and by learning from what we have. It's similar to generating insights, but in this case, we're not looking outside; we're looking inside. So we're looking at the topics that are generating a lot of interest. We're looking at the topics that attract users, that generate many comments. We're looking at the topics that are the most converting these things. Yeah. So we're looking at the improvement points, and we're trying to use them. Okay. Another thing that I wanted to comment about this strategy map. You have noticed that here we have some links, like this one, yeah, from bottom to up, yeah. And for example, rank high for top converting content. I see this very metric here. So it was a goal here, but now it's a metric that is linked to this engaging informative content goal, yeah. So what happened here? Here we follow the cause and effect logic. So the result of what we do here on this goal, it is transferred to that goal, but it is transferred as a leading indicator. So I can look at, let me move it here. I can look at the legend, and I will see that this color stands for leading indicator. So the gray one stands for login indicators. I won't explain this topic now in detail. So if you are interested, search on our website for article about leading indicators, login indicators. We explain a lot of details there. So the point now is that these goals are not stand here just standalone goals. They are connected to each other. Okay. Now let's look at the metrics that we use. Yeah, because talking about goals is great. I think you do it a lot internally in your organization. But how do we execute these goals? Well, before executing, we need to find the way to measure this. Why? Because if we find the way to measure this, we make this goal very specific, very clear and easy to explain. So I have here analyze growth opportunities goal. Yeah, let me switch and find it in internal perspective here. Analyze growth opportunities goal, and as you can see, it has some metrics aligned with it. So SEO opportunities index, current backlog, the two login metrics, and another green line is track the pulse of industries, leading metrics that comes from that goal here. So let's talk about SEO Opportunities Index, what it is. So as you can see, this index, in our case, it's compiled of 3 metrics. So first of all, we'll look at monthly search value. And how do we look at it? I have noticed that we have here this small icon, the sum, and it means that the performance formula for this indicator is not standard one. Yeah, for example, for the second indicator, overlap with target users, we have a classical optimization, maximize value lineary. So higher value means higher performance. But in this case, this formula is not standard one. Let's look at it. So what we wanted to explain here. So basically, we're looking at search volume according to the analytics tool that we use. And if search volume is lower than 10 searches per month, then the performance is 0. It's actually too small for us. Still, it's viable because there are long tail keywords that we can capture, but our experience shows that on this keyword, if we get to rank high for this keyword, it's okay, but we have other priorities before focusing this keyword. The next threshold that we have is about 100 searches per month. So if we, in this level, we put that we have here 20% performance. Again, it's very interesting because in this case, we'll be able to target long tail keywords, like people who probably will search for search SEO KPIs or SEO strategy. They don't often search for SEO KPIs. Yeah, they search for something like SEO KPIs that we can use to track content marketing strategy. Yeah, if long tail keyword, we can capture this traffic as well. And if we have more than 100 searches per month, we put that it's very interesting for us. We put it 100%. 100% performance. So this metric forms monthly search volume. The next metric is overlap with target users. Yeah. So again, it's about experimenting. For example, this article obviously targets the SEO KPIs keyword, and there are people who are searching for this keyword, but we're not sure that those are our users. Yeah, we need to try. We need to give it a try. Probably those people are not looking for software that we do. Probably they're looking for something else. So you never know for sure. It's about giving it a try. Expertise match. So there are keywords that have a high search volume that obviously people are looking something according to these keywords, but we simply don't have enough expertise to create good content for this. Yeah, so it also makes sense to track this. Now, another interesting thing that we do, we weight these keywords, these parts of this index according to their importance. Again, it's our point of view. So we think that the weight of monthly search volume should be about 60%. Yeah? The overlap with target users, it's 25%, particularly because we don't know for sure. Yeah, it's always educated guess. We don't know for sure if these are our users. So probably because of this, the weight is relatively low. And expertise match is just 15%. Not because we don't value expertise, but if we see that there is a high search volume and it's really good fit with our target users, obviously we can hire some expert who will comment on this, who will create a content on this. Yeah, so that's the idea. So search engine SEO opportunity index. I see here on the performance tab for this index, I see here how this figure 91% is calculated. So it's calculated using weighted average of the performances of these three indicators. Yeah. So weighted average, the weight that's taken into account this weight. Again, on our website, we have an article which is called Scorecard Calculations that explains how all this mathematics is done. If you're interested, if you want to reproduce this in a spreadsheet, you can check out this article. Okay, so we have the SEO opportunity index, yeah, and it looks like it is aligned with this goal and has 91% value. But what is this index for? Yeah, obviously, we're not targeting just one keyword. We have many keywords, many groups, and how do we manage all of this? Again, to use this, we have used another function, the data series. So what it is all about. Here you have on the left the indicators that form the, you have it on the top, the indicators that form the index. Yeah? So opportunity index, I have these three indicators on the top. And here on the left, I have groups. In this case, I have 3 keywords that we consider analyzing within this index. So SEO KPIs, the keywords for this article, event KPIs, another article that I was talking about recently. And of course, we know that you guys use an Excel as well to manage with your KPIs. So we have another keyword here. Yeah, and we have some data here, search volume for each keyword. We have our estimation of overlap with target users. So we believe that people who are searching for KPIs in Excel are the best overlap, and our expertise knowledge. Yeah, so we do most of these things. We do them internally. We do SEO internally. We know a lot about using KPIs in Excel, these things. And the event KPIs, yeah, we participated in some events, we organized some events, but I put here the score is lower. We don't have such much experience with this. Yeah, and on the right, I can pick what group I want to see active. So now I see that KPIs in Excel is active, but I can change to this one. And respectively, my data here has changed. So if I want to focus on this specific group of KPIs, I will group of keywords, I will pick this, click this button to activate this group. Or if I want to look at overall strategy, I will activate this, and it will give me an overall sum for all these metrics. Yeah, so that's how this idea with index is working. So we have this index organized. We have this data series function. You can learn about it more in this video that we have here. In user tutorial, you have it. And yeah, now let's give a quick overview of what we have here below this. Yeah. So we have track the pulse of industry. Yeah? And again, I see here this column, which is initiatives column. And here I have some data that explains me how exactly we're going to achieve this goal, how we're going to track the pulse of industry. In this case, I see that we're going to read these SEO blogs, and I have some links to the blogs that our team is reading constantly. So in this way, you can align some action plans with your initiatives, action plan with your indicators and your goals. And again, we have this goal, and one indicator is the number of SEO blog posts read this quarter. Yeah, so we read something on, let's say we read something on Mo's blog, and we can check, okay, we have read 5 articles. We have some benchmark here, like target is to have 15, let me check, 15 articles quarterly. Yeah, so this indicator is updated quarterly. So we need to read at least 15 articles quarterly, which is quite a small number. And once we have these insights from this article, we do A/B testing. We try to implement some of the insights. We try to test if they are working for us. Yeah, and another metric that we track is this one: the number of findings to be tested versus the number of findings that we have implemented. Yeah. Okay, we have an initiative here which tells me that we need to align this metric with innovation pipeline. What is an innovation pipeline? Here we have another template. I'm not going to talk about this. Innovation KPIs and strategy map. That gives a strategy map and KPIs for innovation process. It's about a pipeline where you have idea, when you have a prototype, when you test it, when you implement it, these things. Yeah? So if you want to do this seriously, we do it seriously. For these SEO findings, you need to align these numbers with something more process-oriented, where you pass your ideas through specific A/B testing and find opportunities that you want to use. Okay, so again, initiatives, we put some idea there. Teaching, again, some metrics, some indicators, and again, our recommendation is to link this scorecard with a specific scorecard for training. Again, we have it. We have a template in our templates that are available with all new accounts. Why do we need to do this? It happens with all training efforts that people learn something new, and probably they get some emotional engagement with this, probably not. Yeah, but that's not what you want to have. People can even pass certain tests. Like, now I understand how to do SEO correctly, and I have passed some tests, some test exam. And again, that's not what you want to have from them. What do we need to have from the team? Actually, we need to look at how their behavior changed. We need to look how this behavior actually impacted the ultimate business performance. And for this, it's better to align these indicators with a scorecard where you actually can quantify the training results, not just in terms of satisfaction rate, but in depth, in more specific approach to understand how this is helping your business. Okay, so I think I will stop talking about metrics. If you want to learn how these metrics help you, you can check out this article. We have here some infographic as well that actually I have it in a software here on the second map that explains what you're doing and how you're doing. Some example of some dashboards that we can build. For example, we're looking at how the content backlogs, the ideas that we want to write about is changing. So I see that having like 4 or less ideas, in our case, it's not really good. But having more than 10 ideas, it's great. But let's not overload our planning system with ideas that we cannot write about. So we pretend to keep this in this green zone. Okay, so as I mentioned before, this template is available in new accounts, as well as other templates. And obviously, you can customize all this. If you have different targets, you can just put here different targets. If you want to rename this indicator, just rename it. If you want to add new indicator, it's easy. If you want to add new perspective, new goal, all this is customizable. I'm showing you it just as an example so that you know what you can do and you know how to get started. And one thing that I would recommend you to know how to do it is to understand how we can link to scorecards. So before I was talking about the need to link, let's say, the SEO scorecard to innovations process that we have, and let me create a new template. And now I will link our current scorecard. For example, here, finally related to this, we can get an indicator from innovation scorecard right here on our SEO scorecard. How to do this? I pick indicator, go to data tab, here value data sources, and I pick that I want to use another scorecard as a data source. And I pick innovation scorecard, and I can track and I can get some indicator from innovation scorecard, and this way I can link my current scorecard to the innovation scorecard. So it can be something basic like idea generating and capturing budget, or it can be something more interested like discussion to hypothesis rate, the percent of discussions that were actually converted into hypothesis, or tested hypothesis to implementation rate. So if we had some data in that scorecard, this data will appear here, and respectively it will appear here on our strategy map. This arrow tells me that this is imported indicator, it's not indicator from this scorecard. So why it's important to link scorecards in this way, to cascade scorecards in this way? Because in this way we can actually understand how the SEO strategy that we're talking right now is aligned with other strategies that we have in our organization. So, for example, right now I do understand that we do innovations, then we do have innovation strategy, not just because we want to have something to, to write about and these things. Yeah, we do it for a very specific reason. Yeah, we do it because we have many insights that come from this case from these blogs. Yeah, and we need to pass these insights through a specific innovation pipeline that will eventually generate us some new ideas, and we'll be able to change these ideas to our team. Yeah, and these ideas will lead to generating better content, to maintaining better content, to ranking high in search engines, and finally to giving customers what they want, giving customers the engaging content uh, and content that solve their problems. And finally, this will help us to generate more qualified leads, and the price it will be quite competitive if we compare it to the price of, for example, getting leads from paid ads. So that's how the strategy scorecard for SEO looks like. On this tab, you have some KPIs, some examples. Again, it's our point of view because it's a kind of biased because we are focusing on content strategy. We're not doing gray SEO. We're not buying links. It's tough. So it's basically focused on content strategy, which is the most recommended approach for most organizations. And I think you can get started with this template that you have in your account. You can create this template and start customizing your SEO strategy according to it. As always, if you have any questions about our tool, BSC Designer Online, we do recommend to get in touch with us using the contact form on our website. If you have some questions about SEO or SEO articles, the best way is to write a comment for this article and ask a question there, or ask your questions in the comments for this video. And if you want to learn more about why we have these very indicators, what checklist we use internally for SEO, you can find all these details in the article that I have here. I will share the link in the description box for this video. So that's all for today. I hope you liked our approach to SEO strategy maps and SEO KPIs. And looking for reading your comments, reading your feedback. Thank you. Goodbye.